Good evening, everyone. How are y'all doing? Just wanted to come talk to y'all a little bit this evening about some of the news headlines that traversed last week in the market and what I think will affect the market this week and how I think it's all going to work together. We started last week with Moody's coming in and decreasing the United States' credit rating, which ultimately poured into Monday with the debt crisis issues. And then Tuesday, we had a little uptick in our 30-year Treasury rates, followed by the Trump trade war resuming. Thursday, Trump tariffs on Apple. Friday, the Trump tax bill, ultimately flowing in through the weekend back to Wednesday's trade war with the EU, where Trump then rolls back those tariffs. And now we're today, Monday, Memorial Day, headed into a trade week. And, we just want to talk a little bit about how all that works together. So we start with the Moody's credit rating decrease. Moody's is the entity that regulates all credit issuing institutions, whether it's a municipality on a local level or a federal level, or whether it's a business, a corporation, etc. As such, Moody does the credit rating for countries who issue bonds for their debt. And we, the United States, issue bonds for our debt in the form of our U.S. Treasuries. So we get a decrease in our Moody's credit rating, which means that our validity to pay back our debt is now in question, which means that we likely have to pay out a little bit more on our bond rates to make them a little bit more attractive since our credit rating decreased. That then flows into the Monday debt crisis because debt has ballooned so much. We've all seen the headlines about Klarna and Afterpay, etc. We all know that people are behind on their credit card and auto loan payments. The U.S. has a current debt crisis issue that no one is really talking about. So now we have an issue between the bond market and the credit market. And then we flow into our 30-year Treasury rates, which again is our bond market because, as I just said, when your debt isn't as attractive, you have to pay a little bit more for it. So our 30-year Treasury rates went up to over 5%. That then caused the stock market to go down because they have an inverse relationship. We pay out a little bit more on the treasuries we were selling on Tuesday because of that debt issue. Then we get to the trade war resumes, where Trump then goes and says that he wants to put 50% tariffs on the EU again because he's not happy with the things that they're saying. And then he even says that he wants to put 25% tariffs on Apple iPhones that aren't made in America. But what most people don't know is it is not a short process to create a factory in America. It's a 4 to 6 year timeline, meaning that by the time that factory is up and running, Trump will no longer be president. I can guarantee you this: Tim Cook is not going to expense the amount of money it's going to cost to start a factory for a president who's not going to be president when that factory is going to be up and running, when Tim Cook has plans to expand factories in China and in India. And then we get to the tax bill that passed the House of Representatives on Friday, and that tax bill has like a $3.8 trillion tax cut for estate taxes, and it also is going to be cutting Medicare as well as social welfare in the form of food stamps. Not all social welfare, but food stamps and Section 8 housing. So we have a tax bill that's going to increase debt, that's going to attack Medicare, Section 8 housing, and food stamps. So we're giving the wealthiest population an even larger tax break. We're cutting things for our most vulnerable population, and we're increasing our debt. Do y'all see how all these things I have talked about all work together and how they're all snowballing into a much larger problem? And we're barely 6 months into the Trump presidency at this point. I can't say what, the remainder of the presidency looks like. But at this point in time, there are a lot of issues that are happening that are all working together that I believe will create larger issues. And if we don't start to get a hand on this snowball effect now and try to slow the momentum of this thing, it's going to quickly get out of hand. This is what I got for y'all for this week. We're going to be looking at a couple trades in the market. I'll probably make another video to go over what we're going to be looking at based upon some of these news headlines, what I think will be affected and what I think won't be affected. I just wanted to kind of talk to y'all about all of the headlines that came out last week and how I believe how they're going to be working together and what I think we need to do in order to get a handle on them. So as always, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Urban Traders Group checking out.